Okay, looks like we allowed enough time for everyone to get signed in. So first and foremost, welcome everyone to our webinar, Google Apps for Real Estate Professionals. So work smarter, close faster. My name is Tina Mallon and I am with Dido, a Google Apps Premier reseller. And on behalf of Dido, I would really like to thank you for taking the time to join us on this overview of Google Apps. So to make it easy, I want to point out that you have options to ask questions. These questions will be addressed at the end of the session. You can simply enter your questions into the question pane as shown on my screen here, and we'll leave time at the end of the session for questions. And honestly, don't be bashful. We encourage you to ask any question. There's no question too big or too small. Also note that everyone in the webinar is muted by default, so if there's background noise, not a big deal. Also, you have the option to dial in with a telephone if your computer, microphone, and speakers are not the best. So here is our session agenda. First, we're going to look at who we are here at Dido and what we do best. Then I will discuss a brief apps overview for Google Apps for Business. So for those of you that may not be familiar with the Google Apps Suite, this is a perfect opportunity to get introduced. We will then hear from our honored guest, Bridget McLain of Midgett Realty. Bridget will be giving us some first-person perspective on the decision to go Google and the benefits received by going Google. I'll wrap up with a few demos so you can see Google Apps in motion, and we will end the session with an open Q&A where you have an opportunity to ask the experts about Google Apps. So first, here is a look at who we are at Dido and what we do best. So Dido was founded in May of 2007, and since then we have grown to become one of the Google Apps Premier Partners and Chrome device resellers. So we provide Google Apps evaluation, deployment, integration, change management, development, and support services. So what this means is that we are your turnkey solution to get you migrated, get you set up, and all of your users ready on the Google Apps platform. Our team also includes experienced migration experts as well as Google Apps trainers. So whether you are coming off of Exchange, Lotus Notes, Novell GroupWise, or Webmail, we can really set your team up for success. Additionally, we can customize your Google Apps experience with our workflow and development specialist, and we are truly the authority on mobile and distributed teams because of the experience that we have had with our past clients. So in short summary here, Google has recognized Dido as a premier partner, meaning we are one of the preferred partners to help you go Google. And we also possess the resources and expertise to help you go Google. Now that you know a little bit about Dido, let's get introduced to the Google applications, the tools for working in the future. This includes, but is not limited to, Google Mail, Docs, Calendar, Sites, Vault, and Chrome. Google Mail is an intuitive and powerful email, and as many of you already know, it is loved by hundreds of millions of users at home, and it allows you to communicate the way that you want. So by email, by chat, voice, or video calling, it all comes part of the platform. Those are not additional cost. There's also Google Documents, which allow for real-time sharing and simultaneous editing to make collaboration as easy as creating documents. There's also Google Calendar, which is designed for teams and individuals on the go. So the calendar helps teams stay organized and find time together. Google Sites allow you to organize all of your content. So I'm sure many of you in the real estate profession have a great amount of content with documents and photos and so forth. And that will allow you to organize your content into project sites to keep your entire team or your customers and clients on the same page. So literally on the same page because it's on a Google site. Then we also have Google Vault, which is your information governance for Google Apps, and that includes archiving, so message archiving, retention and e-discovery of Gmail and on-the-record chat messages. And then Chrome offers the fastest and most advanced browsing experience for advanced web apps like Google Apps. So all of these applications come together to help you work better together. So now let's take a look at what working better together looks like. We'll first look in email. So with Gmail, it's easy to connect with people. Email is one of the most common ways to communicate inside your business. I'm sure many of you already know. And in the past, it was only limited to plain text. But with Google Apps, it brings people front and center. So conversations, the first arrow to the top left here, points to your conversation view. Your conversations in email mimic a natural, free-flowing conversation, so gone are the days of trying to piece emails together to try to reconstruct what was once a conversation. There is also real-time text, voice, and video chat built right within Google Mail, so the center arrow is pointing to an example of one click to be connected to maybe one of your colleagues for a quick video chat. Also, the third arrow, bottom right corner, is pointing to the People widget, which gives a 360-degree view of your connections, which will include recent emails, calendar availability, and even docs that they have shared with you. So speaking of shared documents, here is a snapshot of a Google document in motion. So multiple people simultaneously editing the same Google document, as you can see on the screen here with different color-coded cursors. So workers want and really need to work together to be effective. And in the past, what this meant was you would have to huddle around the same screen. You would have to carve up your work and try to merge your work together later, or work in series, forwarding a document around from person to person. I even heard recently one of my friends told me within her organization, someone actually did a printout where everybody had to manually write in their updated email, work phone number, etc., and then they would enter that all in. So much easier with Google Docs with the simultaneous editing. So it's not really ideal working in the past where you would have to huddle around the same screen, carve up the work, or that example I gave when somebody printed off the document and you just manually write in your updated information. And it's often not even possible when geographic distance or short timelines are involved. So Google Apps lets people do exactly what they want to do, which is work together in an intuitive and frictionless way. And this platform is also continuously maintained. It is maintained in that it is always up to date. So here you can see one of the pains of working in the past. So getting the error messages that you must upgrade. So perhaps someone sent you an attachment, an email, coming from Microsoft Office 2013, and you're still working on the 2010 platform. So I'm sure we've all experienced those pains of needing to upgrade. But now with Google, all users have the most up-to-date version at all times. With the simple click of the refresh button, all of your users have the most up-to-date version, so you don't have to worry about that version control. Along with that as well, it is also maintained then anywhere you go. Another example of working in the past is where you are tied to your desk and also the pains of losing data. So we can see here a familiar thing that we've seen in the past, the error message. Critical disk error has been encountered, maybe on a thumb drive or even your hard drive. But now with Google, all of your information can be accessed from any device, anywhere in the world. So it's doing as well, not just viewing. It's not just accessing your documents, emails, calendar on your mobile devices or any device for that matter, but you can also edit your documents on mobile devices, edit your calendar invites, and edit and work through your emails. So your organization can, of course, still maintain order with the ability to manage all of your workers' devices. So you get that flexibility to work from any device, but from the organizational level, you can manage all of your workers' devices. So Google Apps makes it easy for employees to work on email, calendar, and documents from almost any device the way they want. And the mobile device management makes it easy for administrators to have visibility and control over the environment, as you can see here, approving devices. With mobile device management, you can approve or deny devices, enforce security policies such as pins on the phone, and you can wipe lost or stolen devices and do more as well. And when we say any device, we really mean any device. So in the past, workers were often tied to a single corporate device. So you'd have to bring your specific laptop, or it would have to be your phone, or even VPNing in. But with Google Apps, you can use any device. So if you're a Mac, PC, Chromebook, tablet, phone user, you can use any of the devices. And with the web browser, you can access your mail, calendar, documents, all of your data. This not only gives you more choices about which devices you want to use in your organization, but it also lets you use borrowed devices when you don't have yours. So when your mobile battery is dead, which happens to me far too often, or when you don't have cell service. So perhaps you're in a remote area and you don't have the best cell service. You can easily borrow somebody's device and securely log into your account. And all of this comes with high availability and reliability. So Google Apps for Business comes with a 99.9% uptime guarantee. So we can see on the screen here the 99.9% uptime guarantee, and historically the availability has been even higher than this, truly as close to 100% as you can possibly get. And Google Apps never has scheduled downtime. So you never have scheduled downtime where you need to update your software, update your programs. You can just constantly keep going. So this way you can be productive when you need to be. And a publicly available status dashboard lets you use and view the availability of each app. So on the screen here we have the app status dashboard. So you can always sign in at any time and find out if there were any disruptions or any hiccups, and the resolution is always quick in sight. And Google Apps is also the first and best in cloud security. So Google's network of data centers is engineered for security, reliability, and redundancy, and it's backed by the world's foremost experts in information security. So Google Apps supports enhanced authentication options such as single sign-on or two-factor authentication. So on the screen here we have an example of two-factor authentication where you'd have to have a special code even to access accounts. So millions of organizations, even including Google, trust Google's infrastructure to keep their most important corporate data safe. And Google Apps has completed a thorough SSAE 16 and the ISAE 3402 Type 2 audit, as well as the Federal Information Security Management Act. So it has the certifications to back that security as well. And it's easy to see the cost savings at any scale. So Google Apps is simple to license, which is wonderful. It's always a headache when you're trying to figure out all the licenses, but Google Apps makes it very simple to license and offers a much lower total cost of ownership than conventional solutions. So looking on the screen here, per user, both Exchange on-premise and Office 365 are significantly more expensive to license and maintain than Google Apps. So it's a no-brainer here on the screen, shows you a cost savings truly at any scale. And last, Google Apps is constantly evolving. So on this slide here, you can see the growth of the platform with first the addition of applications, then increased support, SLA, and security. So we can see at the start here in 2007, we had a few applications with support, SLA, and security. And since then has grown into 2013 to include many new applications, increased support, increased SLA and security. But one of the key takeaways here is that it still comes at the same attractive price tag as $50 per a user per a year. So of course, though, you don't have to just take my word for it, but you can look to the 5 million businesses that have made the transition to Google Apps. And today I'm joined by Bridget McLain of Midgett Realty. Bridget is the IT director of Midgett Realty and has graciously agreed to speak today about the decision to go Google and the benefits that Midgett Realty received by going Google. So at this time, I'm going to pass it off to Bridget, who's going to provide us with some first-person perspective on going Google.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Bridget McLain, and I'm the Director of IT at Midgett Realty. We are a real estate and vacation rental home company on Hatteras Island, and we had been a traditional Microsoft Exchange company for many, many years. And then in 2010, we were faced with whether or not to buy new servers and renew our Exchange licensing, and I sort of came to a screeching halt because we are in a location, if you know where Hatteras Island is, it's a tenuous location, a tiny island, and we are subject to many storms, lightning storms, hurricanes, as you hear, nor'easters that come and bring the water up. So we have a lot of power outages, and with the Microsoft Exchange that we had been relying on was, of course, an on-site server. And that year, 2009, 2010, I can't tell you how many times I had issues with people not having access to their email at all. And if y'all are from the real estate world, you know that agents in the field have to have 100% access to their email, whether they're on their laptop or their phone. And with that Exchange server being in the office that was subject to so many power surges and outages, we started having a lot of complaints about downtime. And so somehow I stumbled on the Google apps, and the representative from Google was awesome and put me in touch with the Dido folks, who really just paved a whole new way of doing business for me. So I'm eternally grateful to Dido. And we started, my problem as the IT director was that this was going to be a really big change for my folks. There were certain folks who understood that we needed the 100% uptime, not only for the real estate agents in sales, but also we have about 30,000 customers who live on mainland that we need to be in constant contact with in terms of getting them on and off the island when they're coming for their vacations. And that was understood. However, we have a lot of people who just don't like change. So what Dido showed us was that they had a pilot project where I had about 5 people sign on to using Google Apps for a couple months, and really took the whole thing for a test drive. And when they did, it was a no-brainer. They had no training. Dido set them up, and they started using the Google Mail for our domain right away, and I really never heard from them. So, you know, it was at the end of the month, and I was like, I wonder what's going on with these folks. They're using this new email, and I haven't heard anything. So I was reaching out to them, and they were like, oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's great. Everything's the same. So everything that they had prior with Microsoft Exchange, they still had with the Google app. So that really made the business decision easier. So we got the approval of the owner of the company with ease. And I think that anyone who has folks who are just resistant to change, no matter how great the product is, if you let them just take it for a test drive, they'll be convinced. And so we then signed up, and used the Dido folks to do the migration, and sure enough, as luck would have it, we scheduled to have our migration from Exchange Server to Google Apps during a hurricane evacuation. So I was thinking maybe I need to put it off, but we had really rolled everything up and got everybody on board, and Dido really took it from there. I actually had to leave the island, and Dido remoted in and started doing the migration as I was evacuating. I got to mainland and set myself up to be able to access things remotely, and they had really done everything. And by the time everybody got back into the office, all of the old Exchange emails were kept intact, but now all loaded into our beautiful new Google Apps for our domain. One question or one resistance I had from folks was that our sales agents have to maintain continuity of contact, like their name, their email address, their phones. They don't like those to change. And one of the biggest questions from the sales agents was, oh, Google Mail, Gmail, well, that means we'll all have new email addresses. But that wasn't the case at all. Everybody kept their exact same email address. Nothing changed. So I mean, I can't stress how wonderful it was to come back after the stress of a hurricane and to have a brand new Google Apps email program. And the other thing is that it was like such a ribbon on a big present, because everyone realized then that when we do evacuate or when we do have a power outage or something, everybody still can email each other and our customers. So whereas before, when things happened, the Exchange server was inaccessible, even though we did utilize Outlook web access, it wasn't accessible because it relied on the Exchange server that was back in that on-site building. So 100% satisfaction in the rollover. It was really stress-free. I have never had any IT thing be that smooth.
That's always great to hear.
Yeah.
So fantastic. And you spoke a lot too, Bridget, about how we helped during the hurricane. Did you want to speak any bit about the trainings, since you mentioned there was a little bit of kind of a resistance, and I think that's one thing we see typically. So always good to get first-person perspective on how you handled training and that cultural shift and the attitude shift.
Yeah, and that's great. I love to speak about the training, and especially if you keep in mind we're coming back, folks are coming back from the stress of a hurricane to a brand new email, which you would think that that's just one more stress added, and they're thinking, why did she do all this?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that just wasn't the case. It was like, okay, and for anybody that needed training, it was there and available, and Dido did it seamlessly. I can't even tell you, I didn't have to do anything, and the people who thought they needed the training just signed up for it, and they got it, and Dido handled their questions and showed them all of the different products that they could use, and I never heard from them again. I didn't have to show anybody anything. And some of that was we had a lot of users, their personal emails were Gmail already, so they were pretty familiar and not a problem. We had some folks who just are that core group of people who just don't like change at all, and we're huffing and puffing for about a month, but huffing and puffing about nothing technical, just about the change. But our biggest huffer and puffer now just loves Google Mail and can't believe we relied on Exchange for as long as we did. So the training, it's like I can speak to it and I can't. I can just tell you that whatever Dido did, it worked, because I didn't have to help anybody with anything.
That's good to hear as well.
Yeah, it was just excellent, and all of the feedback I got from folks was that it was top notch and all of their questions were answered.
Wonderful. So what
So another
impacts were
senior,
on your business then, and how do you use Google today, Bridget?
okay, the biggest impact I would say is from a user perspective would be 100% uptime. I see that 99.9, but I don't think anyone's been down on their email. And I don't have my old Exchange stats, but I can tell you it wasn't anything close to that. And that is the biggest relief for users. They have to have access all of the time. The biggest impact from my perspective doing the IT work has been I don't have to do email work at all anymore. I don't budget my time. It's not in my schedule ever. It hasn't been since 2010, and that's just huge. I think that's just amazing. And the other thing I didn't mention earlier for any of the IT technical people out there, if you deal with your own spam appliance, McAfee or the Barracuda boxes or what have you, I signed up for the Google Postini, and I have not had any spam problems whatsoever. And in the past, that was a huge, I know that's not the Microsoft Exchange, but using Exchange in combination with yet another device that I had to manage was an enormous headache for me. And not just for me, because that, you know, the sales agents don't want to be dealing with that. They need a clean inbox. And it was a very big problem in the past. That problem is just gone forever, and it's beautiful. So I think, you know, the impact of having the 100% uptime is phenomenal, and I know that our owners are very pleased, very, very pleased with that, especially when we go into storm mode or hurricane mode and we're not wondering how we're all going to be communicating with each other like we had. That was a very big problem for us in the past.
Absolutely. And we did have one question come through too for you specifically, Bridget, from Joey B, asking how Google Apps helped the real estate sales team. So would you be able to just speak about how maybe Google Apps benefited your sales team particularly? Was there anything that they were using that was helping them more than before?
Sure, and we have two sets of sales teams. We have the real estate sales folks who are selling the homes out and about, and then we have the sales folks who are doing the reservation sales for the vacation rental homes. The sales folks who are in the field, the selling homes, are just over the top pleased with the Google Apps, and mainly, and also during this time period too, you know, we've seen more of the mobile devices and people you know, starting to use more of the different devices, the tablets and things like that, and even whether it was, you know, in the office, you know, we have standards in the office that are different from what people use personally, but for the sales agent's perspective, you know, they don't really care about those kind of things. They want to use whatever they have at the time, whether it's their tablet from home or their laptop from the office, and Google Apps has just made that brilliant, and they couldn't be happier. I know, and they're also using with their phones and things the chats, so they can get back to the office, their admins in the office, and they're, you know, answering questions while talking to people and getting the information from the office to them out in the field. It's just been great. And I know that you can have that with other service providers as well, but I can tell you that it's been 100% uptime with Google, and it's, you know, just it's nothing. I don't have to think about it anymore. The reservation agents are using the documents, and they share things like that, which is a lot easier. When they're sent home, because we have frequent flooding that might not even occur during a storm that's on the Weather Channel. It's just the way the wind blows there. And if people have to stay at home now, the agents we don't consider them mobile, they're really in the office, they are then working from home, and they can still access the documents that they need and take the calls from home. And we just didn't have that capability in the past. And as well, they use the Google chat to get, you know, they're doing on the phone with customers and wanting to do price negotiations but needing approval from a manager in a different office, and they can just, you know, do a click, the chat, get that manager on while they're still on the phone and get an answer. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we can see that across different industries as well, and not just in real estate, specifically targeting sales teams, you know, always getting the need for that immediate access. Sometimes you need an answer and you need it now. So having that ability to not only have that uptime, but to reach out, chat, and have your documents on your mobile devices can be very powerful. So thank you very much, Bridget. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak about some of the benefits. The last question I just wanted to ask was, there any unique ways that you wanted to touch on how you're using Google Apps now other than what we already spoke about?
Well, I can say that I know that one really exciting thing for me is that we have a core group of people who always want the latest and the greatest and the new. You know, whether they really need it at the time or not, that's just how they work, and that's okay. And the great thing about Google Apps is there's always something new. And like the slide I saw earlier, our price hasn't changed. So that is just something that we continue to look forward to, and I think it's great to have users be more in control of their own kind of what they need for their own business use, and not having to go to me all the time, and me being, you know, trying to look out there in the tech world to see, you know, different things, different product suites. They're on top of it themselves now, and they a lot of times will know a new product that's come out with the Google Apps before I do, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I'm definitely one of those people always looking for the latest and the greatest, so that appeases me as well. Well, thank you so much, Bridget, for taking some time to give us some first-person perspective. If anyone has any questions specifically for Bridget, feel free to enter them into the question pane. Also, if you have questions for Dido, don't hesitate to enter your questions into the question pane. We are going to save some time at the end to answer questions as well. So at this time, I wanted to be sure to give you some first perspective on Google Apps, and I wanted to give you a chance to see Google Apps in motion. Because at this point, we've spoke a lot about Google Apps and how it can benefit you, but it's always, in my opinion, more fun to see it in person. So I'm going to demonstrate just some unique features to Google Mail, Calendar, and Documents. So I don't want to take up too much of your time here, and I don't want to go through every feature, but I just want to highlight the unique features to Google Mail, Calendar, and Drive. So I'm going to look to Google Mail first. So one of the biggest things of Google Mail is the big inbox space. So you have 25 gigabytes of space available into Google Mail. And for anybody that's on the webinar that doesn't speak technical jargon, to put that into perspective, with my account having that 25 gigabytes of space, my work account, I have 30,000 emails, and it's just at 10% full. So 30,000 emails, 10% full, really puts into perspective the large amount of space that you have available to you. Google Mail also has some unique features in chat, as well as the translation into mail and translation in chat as well. So I'm going to bring up my Google Mail account here, just on my screen. I'm going to hop into my account just to point out some of these features to you. So I already pointed out and showed you that you have 25 gigabytes of space available to you, so you don't have to be bashful with saving information that may be important to you. You can also easily organize all of your messages with labels and filters. But the unique features that I want to point out come into play with the unique communication abilities in Google Chat. So I have my Google Chat window on the screen here. When I want to chat with one of my colleagues, I can just simply point and click. So I'm just letting Courtney know that I love Google Chat. So you can see there that I can easily chat with any of my colleagues. Aside from instant messaging, you can also do voice and video capabilities. And fear not, it comes with the package. It's not an extra minutes plan or anything. It's built into the package. So I could easily call Courtney right now. I don't need to know her phone number. I don't need to know where she is. I can just easily call her. It'll connect through the VoIP, VoIP, turn on my computer microphone and speakers, her computer microphone and speakers, and we could talk to each other that way. You also have this chat ability on your mobile devices as well. I use that quite frequently when I'm traveling. Instead of trying to look up my colleague's phone number sometimes, I just head right to Google Chat for the ease. And on top of that, you also have video capabilities. So with the video capabilities, you have the option to do video chat. So with video chat, you can just select the video chat to open up the video chat, as I'll do on a screen here. And it's calling Courtney, and we can do face-to-face communication with one another. And I just wanted to bring up as a demonstration here how I could quickly reach Courtney with the video chat so we could easily access one another. So you can see through here how you have the option to have flexibility with that communication. So one unique feature as well is the translation. So you can translate with the bots available. So I have an English to Spanish translation. I can add one of my colleagues here. So if you needed to do some translations, I could say hi there and it automatically translates for me. What's also unique is the translation in Google Mail. So I can open this Google Mail message here and I can see that it was written originally in Spanish by one of my colleagues, Olia, and she even just quickly wrote it in Spanish, didn't have time to put in all of the accents, but it will still effectively translate the messages. So I just wanted to point out some of the unique features in Google Mail. Feel free to ask any questions about the voice, video, chat, or any of the unique features. We're happy to highlight any of the questions you may have. So now I just want to take a time to point out some of the unique features of Google Calendar. So Google Calendar is very easy to use, but what I want to point out as a unique feature is to insert docs and Hangouts. So in your Google Calendar, it's simple as point and click to create a calendar event. Of course, you can add guests and no, they don't have to be on Google to invite them. You can invite anybody. You could even book resources. So if you have specific resources that some of your agents use, you can set that up so you aren't double booking. Some of the unique resources come into play when you have the ability to book video conferences. So if your team is going to be geographically dispersed, but you want to bring everybody together for face-to-face communication, you can easily bring them together with this video conference and reserve it in your calendar event. You can also add attachments to calendar events as well. So if you are trying to close a contract and you need to set up a meeting either with your client or one of your managers, you can easily add that attachment to the calendar event. That way everybody has all of the information and materials that they need before coming to that specific event. So just some unique features of the calendar. There are many more, but I just wanted to give you a brief introduction to the unique features of Google Calendar. And last, and in my opinion, the most exciting feature of Google Apps is Google Drive. This is where collaboration really comes to life. You can see Google Drive collaboration with the simultaneous editing, revision history, sharing documents, and attachments as well. So I'm going to open up a Google Drive that I have set up specifically for this presentation. So in Google Drive, you can create documents. So anybody that's not familiar with Drive, you can create documents like Word, presentations like PowerPoint, spreadsheet like Excel, forms, and drawings. You can even organize through folder structures. And the beauty of Google Drive and Docs comes in with the sharing privileges. So I'm going to go over to this document that I have created here. So very bare bones. I'm sure you can see that I am not a real estate expert, a Google Apps expert here, but I wanted to show you where the beauty of collaboration comes in. So in this blue share button, I can share this out with any of my colleagues. I can share it out just by simply typing in an email address. I can give view, comment, or edit access, and I can then share it out with my colleagues. One thing that's also important, so those times when you need to get that contract finalized and you need it finalized now, you can draw a sense of urgency by copying the URL to the document and going over to one of your managers or your colleagues. And I'm just going to say, please help, and you can see that I just chatted her the link to this document. I can also add one more of my colleagues in here so we can get a good view for the collaboration. So now I'm inviting some of my colleagues into this document. I will be able to see who is coming into this document because at the top it will let me know how many other viewers are in the document. Right now it says I just have 2 of mine. Let me make sure I get Courtney in here. Just wanted to make sure to get people in here so you can see real-time collaboration firsthand. So now we see we have more viewers. John has entered here as well. I can see where John is typing on the screen, so we can go through here if I need to edit the property description, the images, any of the content. That way if you have even a new agent, you need to work together on a contract, you'd be able to do that as well. So you can go through the real-time collaboration. We now have many people visiting this document and making simultaneous edits. What's great about the cloud storage is that since it is stored in the cloud, every keystroke you make is automatically saved. So gone are the days of losing your documents. It's automatically saved. You can also use the effective features to maintain control over your documents, such as the chat window where you can provide direction. So if you invited one of your managers in here for a contract, you could ask questions. You can also post comments on here, so if a contract doesn't quite look right, you could always post comments to help one another out. I could say, please revisit the title, but you get the idea that it allows you to help one another without going in and overwriting each other. And the last thing I want to show you in here is the ability to get the revision history. Because I pointed out that Google Apps are stored in the cloud, your documents are in the cloud, everything is automatically saved. I know it automatically begs the question, what happens when there's too many cooks in the kitchen, somebody doesn't get something quite right, and the document goes astray? So at any time you can go into the revision history of the documents, and we can see here that I have a detailed revision history of all the edits that have been made on the document. So at 2:42, looks like John added that there was a hot tub as an amenity for this real estate property. Sounds about good for now. I'm looking forward to spring, so a hot tub sounds pretty good. But you get the idea that you can go through and find the revision history. So if somebody makes a mistake, it's as easy as selecting Restore this revision, and it will bring your document back to a time that made sense. So it gives you the flexibility and the collaboration features to work together, but still allows you to maintain control over your documents, along with the security of keeping all of your data safe in the cloud. I'm going to transition now, just bringing up a spreadsheet just so you can get a feel for what this looks like. And once again, I'm going to invite some of my colleagues into this document here, just in this share button. So I'll invite my colleague Courtney and share. And if you didn't catch it the first time, I can copy the URL and paste that directly into chat messages. You can even do this on mobile devices so you can get answers when you need them. So now that I'm in the spreadsheet, if you're keeping track of your sales agents, even if you're just keeping track of some office duties or maintaining an office budget, you could easily come into the Google spreadsheets. We can see that we have some of my colleagues in here now making edits. I can see where they are, which cell they are making edits in. Every keystroke they make, once again, is automatically saved. And yes, Google Spreadsheets do have a lot of those wonderful formulas and functions that we have grown so accustomed to and were introduced to in Microsoft Excel. And just like Google document, you can also go into the revision history. So if somebody enters some figures that make absolutely no sense, you can always revert back to a revision that made sense. The last thing I want to show you in the Google documents is the ability to continue to work in the Google world and go back to the Microsoft world if need be, because you can always download documents. So I can download this document as a Microsoft Excel. I can download this Word document. I can download this Google document as a Word document. So you can continue to work in any environment that suits best for you, but I'm sure at this time many of you can see the benefits of the collaborative features of the Google documents. So if anyone has any specific questions about the Google documents, feel free to let me know. The last thing I want to point out in the document suite here is the ability to organize. Because I know in real estate, or at least I'm assuming in real estate, you have to have some form of organization to organize your different properties, to organize your different clients and your contracts. So here we have an example of a folder structure. When I open this folder, I can get images and quick screenshot images of all of the images for the properties that we're assuming that, let's say, I manage here. So I can easily scroll through all of these images, so you always have all of your data firsthand at your fingertips, and with that mobile access, all of this data can follow you around. So like I said, if anyone has any specific questions about the documents, the calendar, the mail, more than happy to address those at the end of the session. So I want to close with the demonstrations here just by speaking about Sites, Groups, and Google+. So Google Sites, unfortunately, I don't have time to dive into some demonstrations. We're more than happy to set up custom demonstrations for you. But with the Google Sites, you can create an intranet, you can create project sites, and you can also recreate SharePoint. So this is a great way to bring your team together on the same page, literally, to manage different property sites, manage different clients and customers as well. The thing I want to mention about Google Groups is that you still have the ability to manage distribution lists and shared or group mailboxes. So many of you may have shared or distribution lists that you have. Maybe you have specific contractors or vendors that you work with. So we can migrate those over to Google Apps so you don't have to start from square one. And the last on the screen here is Google+. I just wanted to mention Google+ because that is where you get the ability to do the multi-person video chat. With the multi-person video chat, you can chat with up to 15 people. So I just gave you a brief example of trying to chat with Courtney, but the video chat will allow you to chat with up to 15 people, so at any time if you need to bring your team together, whether they're in the office or remote, you're able to do so. So now you can see that there is an evolution in technology where people are starting to work the way that we live. The way we're living right now is many of us have smartphones, we have tablets, we have different types of technology devices that we use. And we integrate this technology to collaborate with one another in our personal lives. And this is starting to transition into the enterprise and the work field as well. So it's about time to transition to Google Apps so you can begin working the way you live. We invite you to learn more about this as well with a test drive by Google, test drive for Google Apps by Dido. So you can learn how you can test drive Google Apps with us, and it will not disrupt your current system if you wish to do a test drive. You can learn more at didoweb.com/test drive. We also encourage you to explore our blog so you can learn more from the Google Apps experts, which is blog.didoweb.com. So at this time, I just want to open up for questions. Feel free to contact us in the future at info@didoweb.com. I want to thank everybody that was on the session today for attending. If you have any questions, this is the time where we're going to open up for general questions and answers. So feel free to enter any questions into the question pane. Okay, so I'm just going to review some of the questions here. We did have some of our colleagues answering questions in the background, but I did want to highlight some useful questions that were coming through as well. So one question is this session recorded? Yes, this session is recorded, and we will distribute that out to everyone that was in attendance today. So we are more than happy to cover this. We had a request to talk about Google Drive and the security for having sales contracts. So feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming when you're talking about Google Drive, you're talking about having your sales contracts within Google Drive so you can share with one another. So yes, you can store your documents in Google Drive, you can create those sales contracts, you can even get some of the third-party apps that we can recommend for signature, electronic signature. It's very secure. Also, all of your data is your data. Nobody else can go in and look at your data, access your data, and even on your personal accounts, none of your colleagues can go in and access your documents and folders without your specific permission. So having your data in the cloud is very great because it gives you that flexibility of accessing your data anywhere, but yes, it is very secure. And one question came through about the cost. The cost is $50 per a user per a year. The $60 per an agent is referring to the average cost for the hardware as well as the Google Apps license. And another request to talk about user-level security. I'm going to introduce John Pankhurst, one of my colleagues who graciously accepted to speak about Google Docs security. That way if you have specific questions. So John can take some time to speak about the user-level security as well as the access security.
Yes, thank you, Tina. One of the functions of Google Drive is it allows you to define the security for documents as well as folders for groups as well as users. So, Tina, I don't know if you have the ability to, can you go into Drive and we can go look at Share? And within that, you can see you can add different users right there. And you can also do it for folders. So anybody within that folder, if you were to drag and drop a document to that folder, it would inherit that same security. So where it says shared with me below, you would see those documents and folders show up in that location. Now, one of the benefits here is that, for instance, I run a fundraiser every year, and I'm able to share documents with people outside of my domain that don't necessarily have Google Docs. But one of the issues with sharing documents with people who are outside of your organization is you don't know what version of Microsoft Word or Excel that they're using. So this really allows you to capture those people in that they only have to have a web browser in order to view that document. So I think that's a real benefit of Google Docs. So you can share with people who are outside of Google Apps.
Absolutely. Okay, another question is how long does a typical deployment take? So typical deployment last about 90 days, and that's for some of the larger businesses. Of course, we can customize your deployment to your needs. You gave, or at least we're seeing the example today, where an organization such as Midgett Realty had the emergency migration during a hurricane. So we can obviously work with your team to customize the deployment and suit your needs as well. Okay, and it doesn't look like there are any other questions. And I'm going to pause for just about 10 seconds here to make sure that there aren't any lingering questions. If there's any lingering questions, feel free to enter them into the chat pane now.
One of the questions that came up earlier, maybe could show that, is revision history again. As to, is there a way to show markups as to the way things have changed within Google Docs or in a particular document?
Sure. So within the revision history here, we can see that everybody has a color-coded cursor. So each time I select one of the revisions here, so I can see that Steve R. has a blue cursor and John has the orange cursor. So here I can see what changes has been made. We can see that the Los Angeles, California has been deleted and Beverly Hills has been added. And that was done by Steve because he has the blue cursor. And since John has the orange cursor, we can see that he added the hot tub as the amenities here. So you can access the revision history to see at any time what revisions have been made, and you'll be able to see what user performed which revisions with those color-coded cursors. Okay, it doesn't appear as though we have any more questions, so I am going to go ahead and close this session out now. Honestly, I wanted to say thank you all for tuning into this session today. Feel free to contact us at info@didoweb.com to learn more about the test drive or learn more about the applications. So thank you for attending today, and I hope all of you enjoy the rest of your day.